What's up, fight fans? Welcome to the UFC on Fox 28 or hashtag UFC Orlando post-fight show. My name is Flying B-Rony J. That's Flying Brian J. As always, I don't have a real co-host that's going to speak words in an audible form with me, so you guys are going to be my co-host once again. My first question to you is what post-fight rating, 1 to 5, or you can go A to F if you'd like, would you give this entire fight card? A lot of times, guys, I'm a person who's kind of a negative Nancy, and I don't have a lot of great things to say, but tonight, I have like nothing bad to say, so I'm going to give the post-fight rating for this entire card an A. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm glad I watched it. There was no moment where I was personally thinking that the timing or the pacing of the fights was too slow. There wasn't any fight that was like, come on, let's get to the next one. This is boring. So I'm going to give the entire grade an A. I couldn't have been much better. I came in not expecting too much, and it was phenomenal. What we just watched in the main event was Jeremy Lil Heathen Stevens knocked out Josh Emmett. There was some controversy, but before we start talking about that fight, let me say what our pre-fight ratings were for the card, and then how they ended up. Let me see if I can pull this up. So we thought we were going to give the card a 3 out of 5, and actually the pre-fight rating for you guys, the viewers, you gave it a 2.9 out of 5. I gave it a 2.7 out of 5, and I don't know, post-fight I'm going to give it like a 4.75 out of 5. What could I have wanted more? I would have obviously wanted storylines or bigger names or a title on the line. But in terms of just like what happened, can't really get much better than that. So speaking of can't get much better than that, there's a sweet finish in the main event where Jeremy Lil Heathen Stevens evidently murdered Josh Emmett. If you look at the Wikipedia right now, it's KO via murder. It was truly a left hook that set Emmett to the ground. And then Jeremy followed up with some elbows when Emmett was trying to wrestle a little bit. He hit him with a few elbows to the back of the head. The referee, Dan Miragliotta, didn't stop it. And then also Jeremy went for a knee that just his shin glanced on the back of Josh Emmett's head. And then he put him down with like a flying, like Dan Henderson on Michael Bisping type of elbow that took the consciousness completely away from Josh Emmett. Synchronic 7 says it was a nasty elbow. He gives it 4 out of 5 beers. Rob Amon gives the card a 4.5 out of 5. Joker 305 says 9 out of 10, I'm guessing, or maybe a 10 for being free. What do you guys think? Do you think that the finish with the illegal elbows and with the potentially illegal knee, do you think that mars or puts a little bit of a damper on how exciting the finish was for Josh Emmett? I'm going to say no. It does. I don't like, yeah, it sucks, and I think that it's something that we need to talk about, and maybe it takes away a little bit of the excitement, but does it really matter? Not too terribly a lot, in my opinion. Would it have changed the outcome? See, I don't know. We hindsight, we don't know if those elbows or that knee really changed the outcome, because it was a legal left hook on the feet, like Dominic Cruz said in the post-fight content. It was a legal left hook that sent Emmett to the canvas, and then it was a legal Dan Henderson Superman elbow on the ground that actually took the consciousness away from him. Were the strikes in the middle, I don't think that they would have really changed the outcome. So I'm going to say that I'm completely fine with it. Talk about more of what happened in the fight. Oh, Bozy Tozy says, I don't care about them, honestly, because they didn't really rock him, it looked like. Yep, it didn't. I agree. Synchronic 7 said the elbows looked fine. I don't think, I'm going to disagree a little bit in that they weren't fine. They were definitely illegal. They were to the mohawk, the back of the head. Those are illegal. There were 2 of them that were definitely to the back there. Ooh, just tap myself on the back of the head, kind of rattles my teeth. That's weird. The knee was sketchy, as Synchronic 7 says, but I don't think that the outcome would have been much different had he not done them. Yeah, Bozy Tozy agrees with me on the illegality, is that a word, of them elbows. But Rob Amon wonders what Big John has to say. Let's fucking tweet him. Let's ask him. One thing that we could talk about while we're still talking about the legality of these elbows and the knees and that, before we start talking about the rest of this fight, where in the first round, Emmett did drop Stevens with a right hook. Stevens went for like a long rear hand uppercut, missed it as he went by, wham, with the right hook from Emmett, sent him on his butt. He scrambled back to his feet. He did take a couple of elbows, but he got back to his feet, and the fight continued on there. But if we're going to give out WTFs of the card, which we're going to in a second, I really only have one. But one WTF was, of course, Dominic, the Dominator Cruz, trains with Jeremy Stevens at Alliance MMA. And they were asking Dominic Cruz about the legality of these strikes, right? And Dominic Cruz was like, hey, man, you know what? It's not his job. So, and Dominic's right about that. But then, like, they showed him the elbows, and Dom's like, I don't see a problem with them. I don't see a problem with them. It's like, I understand he's his teammate, and I understand that it's Dan Miragliotta's, the referee's job to you know, break up the action if an illegal strike happens. But I wish that he could have just been more honest. Like, the elbow to me was clearly illegal. I wish he could have been like, yeah, it was illegal, but Dan Miragliotta was supposed to step in and you know, break it up. He didn't acknowledge that it truly was illegal, and maybe that's not WTF worthy, but it was certainly worthy of discussion. I'm gonna give a WTF to myself because not yesterday, but the day before, I called the Florida Boxing Commission. They got a long ass name for their boxing commission. It's like the Florida Department of Business and Professional blah 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 or something. I don't know, the boxing commission. I talked to the commissioner of the boxing commission, and I asked him if the new unified rules were going to be in effect tonight. I asked him that one question. I said, thank you, sir, have a great day. Hung up the phone. Well, like, as soon as I hung up, I thought I fucking should have asked him if replay was going to be in effect tonight. And I hung up, and I thought about calling him back, and I'm like, what's the likelihood that we're going to need replay tonight? You know, the last few times we have it in effect, they say, and by the way, replay is in effect tonight, but if we use it, the fight has to stop right then, and then we can go to the tape. We could have used it tonight, perhaps. I don't know if we could have or not, but what the fuck, Brian? Why didn't you call him back? And why did you jinx it, not needing it, by, you know, telling yourself that we didn't need it, so you didn't call the guy back? I should have called him back. I wanted to ask him when they started using the unified rules, and also if they were going to use replay tonight. Bozy Tozy says it's not even up for debate about the elbows. They were for sure illegal. He doesn't care. Bozy Tozy doesn't. The rest of the commenters need to watch the replay. Dingo Dillagaff says in real time the knee looked bad and the referee should have intervened. Eddie Stevens said elbow was legal. The one that hit the back of the head was thrown before Emmett moved. Keith Peterson or another competent ref would have caught it, says Rob Amon. Bozy Tozy says the what the fuck moment was Perry shooting for a takedown at the end of the third. We'll get there. We'll get to those fights. Dingo Dillagaff says blows at the back of the head are common, not an issue in his opinion. They were illegal. Now, if they affected the outcome of the fight, or if they were really detrimental to Emmett's consciousness, I don't know. But I do believe they were illegal. Scotty Reagan says, in retrospect, could it be turned to a DQ? It can't be turned to a DQ because of, like, that would have had to have been Dan Miragliotta's decision, and then we would have had to go to a replay to decide that. What could happen is Josh Emmett could protest, or what's the word I'm looking for? He could basically protest with the Florida Athletic Commission to get it overturned to a no contest. It can't be a DQ. It won't be ruled, like if it was a DQ, it would be ruled a victory for Emmett. What it could be turned into is a no contest. I guess I could call the Florida Athletic Commission about that again. I could call them Monday. I don't believe they're open tomorrow. But good question, Scotty Reagan. Right, hey, Rob Amon answered, you know, said what I just said next. Danny Segurusin wants to talk about Max Griffin versus Gunnar Nelson in Dublin. We'll get there soon. Eddie Stevens, nothing to over the slow-mo replay on FS1 showed it didn't land. Appeal. Yeah, right, appeal. Thank you, Synchronic. Yeah, he wants to appeal. I doubt he'd win. Like, how many times have they won? Only one person in my memory, in my recollection, has ever won an appeal, and that was in Kansas City. It was Tanya Evinger, where she lost via armbar to Yana Kunitskaya, and she got it overturned because she was stepping on her face, which the referee said you can't do, but you can do. So she got it overturned to a no contest, and they ran it back. And, of course, Tanya Evinger won that rematch. Let's talk about what's next for Jeremy Lil Heathen Stevens. Then I want to go over the results for the hashtag Fight Nerds UFC Pick'em League. Then we'll get into talking about Mike Perry and all that stuff, guys. Some more WTFs on the way. So what's next for Jeremy Stevens? Both Dominic Cruz and Michael Bisping said, like in the post-fight content, that they think that Stevens should get a title shot next. I don't know about that, because Frankie Edgar versus Brian Ortega fight next, and then the winner of that's going to fight Max Holloway. I mean, that's like 2 steps down the line. Is Jeremy Stevens, who, I mean, he's been fighting at a real tight clip. You know, he's the second person. He's the first person in 2018 to be in 2 main events. Is he going to wait that long to wait for Frankie Edgar to fight Ortega and then Max Holloway to fight the winner of that? And that, to me, is a long time down the road. What I was thinking was, so I was thinking that Jeremy Stevens should fight Jose Aldo next. Jose Aldo is like the #1 contender featherweight right now. He's coming off of the loss, 2 consecutive losses to Max Holloway. And if we want to give him, right, Rob Amon said the same thing. Damn it, Rob, you got to it before I could say it. Eddie Stevens said Aldo or Cub Swanson. I agree, Stevens, but like Stevens has already fought Cub Swanson, so I was just thinking fresh matchup, high-ranked fighter, Jose Aldo. I think that's what should be next. Hamza Aman says Stevens versus Swanson. The only reason I said to not do that is because they've already fought each other. It was in 2014. It was a while back, but I think that I want to see Jeremy Stevens versus Jose Aldo. And then the winner could potentially get a title shot depending on who has the belt. If Max Holloway has the belt still and Jose Aldo beats Jeremy Stevens, he's still not going to get a title shot. But if Stevens beats Aldo, then yeah, he would be the next person in line for a title shot if Max Holloway or the winner of Edgar versus Ortega has the belt. But that's like talking about this fight. Like, that is way down the line, right? And that's a potential matchup months in the future, because I guess it's just is it next weekend, I believe? Yes, it is next. It's March the 3rd, where in the co-main event, Frankie Edgar fights Brian Ortega, which sucks that it's like, what up, Ricky Berghughes? It sucks that Frankie Edgar versus Brian Ortega is not a 5-round fight. You know, that's for a title shot. It could have, like, potentially it was going to be for an interim title fight, but it's not. But I don't like that it's only a 3-rounder. Dingo Dillagaf says loser of Frankie versus Ortega could fight Stevens. So yeah, 3 potential matchups. I like Aldo the best for Stevens, but the loser of Edgar, Ortega, and potentially Cub Swanson. We'll see what's next. But anyway, I do not believe that Jeremy Stevens should get a title shot next. As I move into talking about the finishing results for the UFC Pick'em League, the hashtag Fight Nerds MMA Mania UFC Pick'em League, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Chad Cheesemo says, where the hell you at? What do you mean, Cheesemo? We talking about, Cheese Man? What up, Mega Horbs? And Richard Berghughes here. The Whack Bros. Where can you see the post-fight presser? You could go to UFC.tv to see it there, or probably go to just UFC's YouTube channel. And I will hopefully tune in there soon, and we will talk about our post-fight bonuses here soon as well. Rob Amon says Emmett should fight Cub Swanson next. Hamza Aman says Aldo might not fight Stevens as he's not a really big name. Well, Stevens just got 2 consecutive knockouts in main events. And this one was on broadcast television where you could get the fight with just bunny ears. And Stevens has the most knockdowns in UFC history now, probably, right? He's at least second. I forget the number. Maybe he's 1 behind Anderson Silva. He might have the record now. But he's a big enough name. And besides, Aldo is in no position to be demanding stuff right now, I don't think. Anyway, like I said, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel. The finishing results for the hashtag Fight Nerds UFC Pick'em League. In first place, sorry, let me take this mint out of my mouth. Sorry I have it in, guys. I'm getting over a cold and I'm trying to keep my voice going. What did I drink during this card? Asked Danny. Fuck, I left it way over there. It's a German sour beer, and I've only had one. Well, this is how much I've had of beer tonight. Just taking it easy. One thing that's great about the card, which I fucking forgot to mention, is like one reason why I gave it such a high rating is it's not even 10 o'clock my time. The fights are over, and I'm going to be done with the post-fight show by 10:30. How do you play the UFC Pick'em League? Let me just copy this link for you guys. You can follow that and join the hashtag Fight Nerds UFC Pick'em League. The Whack Bro says, big question, what's next for Eamon? Yeah, I like what Rob Eamon says. Emmett. Give Emmett to Swanson next. Okay, anyway. In first place on the MMA Mania UFC Pick'em, 7 out of 12, but he had 5 perfect, was Cormac 12. Second place, 8 out of 12, only 3 perfect for 2,260 points. The winner had 2,430. So 2,260 was Mattis Douglas. Third place was Sherm Dog. He had 2,230, 7 out of 12. Fourth place was Kevin Fitzpatrick. 8 for 12, had 2,205. And in fifth place was Vikram, 2,130, 7 out of 12. Jack Mooney, who's always or usually here, had 2030. He got 9th place, 7 out of 12. I finished in 23rd place, 7 out of 12, but only 1,785 points. I finished behind some people that only got 50% of these picks right tonight. Now, I'm going to talk about how you would have done if you would have blanket bet the underdogs tonight. Then we're going to get into the WTFs of the card. Then we'll talk about the rest of these fights. Or we can go back to the main event, depending on what you guys, my co-hosts, want to do tonight. So, if you would have put 1 unit on every single underdog on this entire night, 1 hour before the fights start, because I have to do this right before I do the pre-fight show, which we always do the pre-fight show right here on the MMA Mania YouTube channel, about an hour to a half hour before the fights start. Anyway, you would have profited 4.8 units on the night if you would have put 1 unit on every single underdog, which if you're not familiar with that terminology, you put $1 on every single underdog, you would have came out plus $4.8, $4.80. So you would have bet $12, you would have left with $16.80, which is pretty phenomenal. The underdogs went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They went 6 and 6, but there were some pretty huge underdogs like Max Griffin defeating Mike Perry. That was a huge one. Brian Kelleher was a little one there. Sam Alvey knocking out Marcin Prachnio was a big one. The rest of them were just kind of slight. Let's talk about the WTFs of the card. I wrote down a couple, and we're going to use them to talk about the fights that they pertain to, and then we won't come back to that fight after we talk about it using the WTF of the card. I know you guys want to talk about Mike Perry and some of his WTFs. We'll get to that one after mine. Chad Cheeseman, wants to talk about Sam Alvey, and his fights are boring. Man, Sam Alvey had like 3 boring fights. His last 3 were not that exciting. Sam Alvey is either like he's got a highlight reel knockout or he just kind of stares at them. But moving up to 205 pounds could be beneficial to him. Tonight, Sam Alvey, he caught a spinning back kick from Marcin. The fuck's the dude's name? Why did I? Prachnio. Sorry, I blanked there. Sam Alvey caught a spinning back kick from Marcin Prachnio and took him to the ground briefly. And it was the first time Sam Alvey has ever attempted a takedown in his entire UFC career. What the fuck there? That was nuts. But my WTF of the card was Sam Alvey in his post-fight after knocking out Prachnio with a walk-off knockout. I believe it was his right hand. Was it a right hand? I believe it was. Let me look at the MMA Mania Instagram. It's all right. After he got the victory in his post-fight interview, he said that he accepted it was a right hand that sent Prachnio to the ground, and he also dropped him with Yeah, it was a right hand, sent him to the ground. Initially, Prochazka got up, followed him. Sam Alvey hit another right hand that dropped him, and then Sam Alvey just kind of did this and walked off. In the post-fight interview, as I've been flubbing this up a little bit, he said that he accepted a fight at 205 pounds, and then 2 days later, Daniel Cormier moved to heavyweight. He's not saying that Daniel Cormier is scared of him or anything. He's just stating some facts. What the fuck, Sam? That was awesome. I doubted your exciting fight ability. You showed me up there, and then you came out with a really funny post-fight interview, and I said your post-fight interviews are sometimes cringeworthy. Hilarious. That was funny as fuck. So what the fuck for that funniness? Then Sam Alvey called out Gian Villante. He said, much respect to you, brother. I know that you hit hard, but I want to fight you so that you know I hit hard. And I'm all about it. Let's have Sam Alvey fight Gian Villante. What's next for Prochazka? Don't know, but he did not look good tonight. Now, next WTF of the card, and we'll move into talking about what's next for Max Griffin by using this WTF for, to lead into that. During Mike Perry versus Max Griffin, what up, Kyle Frazzle Pocket? During Perry versus Griffin, Perry, of course, had his girlfriend as his primary corner person, who was like supposed to be yelling instruction to him. At one point, his corner was like trying to say to Mike Perry, close the distance, get him up against the cage, work in tight, and his girlfriend just yelled, break his fucking leg, Mike. What the fuck? What the fuck? Why is she your primary corner person? Earlier in the night, I had tweeted why how many people have their significant other as their primary corner person, like Sam Alvey does. And then later on, Mike Perry came out, and it's always his girlfriend. And it works out for Sam Alvey. His wife seems to know a lot about the sport. She knows about game planning. She must be doing a lot of good things. And Mike Perry's didn't seem to be that with it. And then that one thing that she said was really a WTF of the card. Synchronic 7, does the UFC cut Mike Perry? Bozy Tozy answers, fuck no, they don't. Mike Perry, it was like my most look forward to fight on the card, because the dude is so exciting. He in the third round, another WTF was he showed very little fight IQ, but he was rocking Griffin, but then he went for a takedown with just like 20 seconds to go, and he just basically ended the clock. He wasted the clock the last 20 seconds by going for a takedown, which he wasn't going to get. He should have just kept swinging him and banging, swanging and banging. Wasn't working out for him. But he's a personality that a lot of people like. A lot of people hate him, but a lot of people like him, so he's controversial. You got to keep that, You want to watch him fight. Either you want to see him win or you want to see him lose, but people want to see him. So you got to keep him around for that. He's only on a 2-fight losing streak. Ordinarily, it's a 3-fight losing streak that gets you sent packing. And like Russell Doan, who competed tonight, if you are putting on exciting fights or you're a big name, they might give you 4 losses in a row before they cut you. But Mike Perry, his record in the UFC is he's 4-3. No, he is. Yes, he is 4-3. All of his wins are via knockout. All 11 of his professional victories are via knockout. I think you got to keep him around. Danny Sigarusin, I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name right. I say this every time. He says, do you remember when the UFC was trying to set up Mike Perry versus Darren Till? They certainly were. I liked when Mike Perry got on the edge of the apron of the octagon and was talking shit to Till during their fight. That was fun. Rob Amon says Doan might be cut after tonight. I think you're probably right here. Perry should fight Yancy Medeiros. Love it. Go with that, Hamza Aman. But I know what's next for Perry and Andrew Whitelaw. I like it. I like Hamza Aman says fight Yancy Medeiros. That's good. I like it. Both guys have minimal defense, can hit hard. I think that's a winnable fight for Mike Perry. And one thing, a lot of pundits and analysts were talking about how every time Mike Perry fights, they give him somebody who's willing to stand and trade with him, and they haven't been giving him wrestlers. right? I actually think Mike Perry would do better with somebody who has less striking ability and is more of a wrestler because he's got that low center of gravity. He's really strong, and if they're trying to close distance on him rather than fight at length like Max Griffin did, stay on the outside of him, I think he has a better chance of getting a victory with the guy who wants to come in tight with him, like Jake Ellenberger wanted to. And Alex Reyes was obviously a smaller guy. Rob Amon says Perry should fight a can next. Yeah, basically. Until Richard Burke says Till would slaughter Perry. I absolutely agree. Jeffrey Hovinga wants to talk about Colby Covington's comment on Twitter. It basically, I did see it. I'll pull it up so I can read it and get the quote right. I can see exactly what he said here. Let me take a drink. Okay. On Twitter, 2 hours ago, after Mike Perry lost to Max Griffin, Colby Covington said, "Hey, Mike Perry, having your ratchet horse-faced girlfriend as your head trainer isn't the smartest idea on planet Earth. But hey, when you're a product of cousins fucking in Ocala, Florida, how strong can your decision-making skills be? Hashtag UFC Orlando." Whoa! That is some heat coming from Colby Covington. Jeez Louise. I'm not a fan of Colby Covington. I think that he talks too much shit for how entertaining he is in the octagon. But that is a fire-ass tweet right there. And yeah, that's not a good idea to have your girlfriend as your primary corner person. What's next for Max Griffin? Rob Amon says, Bilal, remember the name Muhammad. I had this pulled up earlier. Actually, I was thinking what's next for Max Griffin should be somebody like Alex Cowboy Oliveira. They're in a very similar realm, rankings-wise, I believe. Where is Max Griffin? Max Griffin might be way down here. He might not be in the top 50. Holy shit. I like the idea of Alex Cowboy Oliveira versus Max Griffin, or perhaps like Danny says, perhaps Max Griffin versus Gunny Nelson. I like that as well. A lot of potential matchups. I mean, he's outside the top 15 in the welterweight division. He got a victory over the 19th ranked welterweight in the world in Platinum Mike Perry. A lot of potential matchups for Max Griffin. At this time, right after the fight, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. A lot has to shake out. I mean, I'm sure there's some welterweight fights happening next weekend as well. Hamza Aman says Dong Young Kim, maybe. That's another potential fight that I'm seeing that could be good. I like the idea of Tarek Safadine, Alex Cowboy Oliveira, Gunnar Nelson. Do I think Colby should be fined? Nope. I don't say these types of things often, Jeffrey, but this is my opinion. We're in a sport where, you know, the goal is to take your opponent out of consciousness. Whether you're choking them to sleep like Ilir Latifi did against Ovin St. Preux, or you're knocking them out with a flying elbow, Superman style, Dan Henderson on Michael Bisping style, like Jeremy Stevens did against Josh Emmett. The goal is to put them to sleep. Remove them from consciousness. And so if we can't be butthurt or fining people for saying mean things on Twitter, you know, we're literally watching dudes prize fight in a cage, so I don't think we can be upset for him saying mean things. I agree with Richard Burke that Colby's kind of a douche, but I don't think we can be upset about him saying mean things on social media. So Tarek Safadine's been released. EP, the top 10 welterweights are still sitting on the stool, shitting their pants instead of fighting. Bozy Tozy says, if Colby didn't get fined for calling Brazilians animals live on television, he's definitely not getting fined for calling Mike Perry's girlfriend a horse face. Right. And like I said, I think that we're talking about prize fighting here. We can't be offended by people saying mean shit. Andrew Whitelock, Covington is a boring fighter, and despite all his shit talking, he still doesn't have a lot of followers. Still isn't the big name. I'd like to see someone like Lawler beat the F out of him. We need somebody with really, really good takedown defense to fight Colby Covington if we want him to lose. And that's got to be somebody like, Rafael dos Anjos could be good. Or, you know, Tyron the Chosen One Woodley. So there we talked about Mike Perry. What's next for Mike Perry? I don't know. I like Hamza Aman's idea of giving him to the Hawaiian Yancy the Kid Medeiros. EP liked his Brazilian comment. Colby Covington's Brazilian comments. Anyway, any other? So those were the WTFs of the card. Mike Perry having his girlfriend as his primary corner woman. And Sam Alvey saying a pretty funny joke in his post-fight interview. Those are the WTFs of the card. I didn't have anything else other than, like, the primary WTF of the card could be like, what the fuck? This card was way better than anybody anticipated it to be. Way better. Brian Kelleher versus Renan Barão was a decision. Still fun as fuck. Angela Hill versus Marina Moroz. It wasn't fun as fuck, but it was a lot of fun. Decision. Max Griffin versus Mike Perry went to a decision. Really fun. Jessica Andrade versus Tecia Torres. Decision. Really fun. So even when, ooh, yeah, Till versus Covington, that would be fun. Could call Richard Berghughes. Wonder Boy could humble Colby, maybe. Covington knocked out Max Griffin in his UFC debut. In Max Griffin's UFC debut, I believe. Jovac wants us to know that. I believe that is correct. Yes, it was in Max Griffin's UFC debut. Colby Covington knocked out Max Griffin. Hennenbrow probably should retire. Let's talk about Jessica Bate-Estaca Andrade versus Tecia the Tiny Tornado Torres. As I move into that, let me ask you again, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to listen to this post-fight show in its entirety, but you got to leave sometime soon, I say... you know, you can subscribe to the MMA Mania podcast feed on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find this show. Bozy Tozy says, what the fuck could be the 2 folding chair KOs in a row, specifically Saunders? Fuck. Oh, he says that could be a WTF the card. Definitely could be. Yeah, the 2, yeah. Sam Alvey and Ben Saunders. EP, Jeremy Stevens is a savage. He should have really smashed that knee into his grounded opponent's face. A lot harder, though. Jeez, EP's all about... Shame about Safadine was awesome in Strikeforce. And let's talk about Jessica Bate-Estaca Andrade versus Tecia the Tiny Tornado Torres. This fight, basically, we had almost mirror images of each other, except for Jessica Andrade was stronger, hit harder, and really had better cardio. There were times when Tecia won. I think a lot of people, the judges obviously gave Tecia the first round, which that was even on the feet. Tecia was doing a good job fighting on the back foot, countering Jessica, moving out of the way of Jessica's hooks, and avoiding the takedowns. But as the first round went on and as the fight went on, Tecia's lateral movement started to be minimized, and she started to be corralled by Jessica's hooks. So Tecia would be circling to her right. Jessica would throw a left hook to the body and get Tecia to move in a smaller and smaller box. As she moved forward, would get in on the hips of Tecia, and then big fucking takedowns, high amplitude takedowns every time she got in close. And then that was basically the story of that fight. Tecia at times would try to take Jessica's back, but then Jessica would just kind of like rip her off, slam her down, and then take back the top position. Jessica Andrade is always impressive. I thought she would get a big victory here tonight. I thought that she would be the next person in line for a title shot, and I think that is absolutely what's going to happen here. Tecia Torres, props to her for showing out pretty well in the first round, to winning some striking exchanges, to not giving up, and to keep moving forward. But Jessica Andrade is just too much of a physical force in this women's strawweight division, and I think that she is next for Thug Rose Namajunas if Rose beats Joanna Jędrzejczyk again. If Joanna Jędrzejczyk gets redemption against Thug Rose, I think they probably run that back, you know, do a third time in a row, maybe. I think that Thug Rose will win again, so it doesn't matter. I think Jessica Andrade is going to be next for Thug Rose Namajunas. And what's next for Tecia Torres? Let me pull up the rankings in the women's strawweight division. Tecia Torres is the number 5 ranked women's strawweight in the world. Karolina Kowalkiewicz supposedly was scheduled for a fight with Jessica Andrade. She pulled out. I didn't want that fight. And now Felice Herrig versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz is happening on April 7th. And I say Tisha should fight the winner of Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Felice Herrig. Hamza Aman wants to know if I think, or if any of you guys think, the viewers, you guys are my co-hosts, if Jessica Andrade can beat Rose Namajunas. Absolutely she can. If she can get a takedown, she absolutely can. Oh, Karolina's going to 125? Are you sure about that? Rob Amon? Is that fight happening in 125 pounds? We got to look at that. If that's the case, then fuck everything I just said. Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Not strawweight. Kowalkiewicz versus Herrig is a strawweight fight. So, yeah, I like it. I like the winner of that versus Tisha Torres. And can Andrade beat Thug Rose? I actually picked Jessica Andrade to beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk. The reason being, I think Joanna's chinny. And Jessica hits hard as fuck. Jessica couldn't get in close enough to hurt Jędrzejczyk, and she couldn't get takedowns. I think that Thug Rose might be willing to be taken down. If she is willing to get in tight with Andrade is so physically imposing that she could get that victory. She's not as good at takedown defense. She's not as good at keeping range as Jędrzejczyk. And just off the top of my head, I think that Thug Rose would be favored over Andrade, but of course, I mean, anybody could win any fight in the UFC. That's what is so fun about this sport. If every fight were to play out how it was on paper, it'd be boring as fuck to watch. And that's one thing. Obviously, I talked about the underdogs tonight betting 1 unit on every single one of them was plus 4.8 units. That's the unpredictability of mixed martial arts is one reason why it's so gosh darn exciting to watch. And Bozy Tozy says it's all about the matchups. Torres versus Sparza, says Rob Amon. Yeah, there is a similar time frame there. Again, lot to shake out. I do like that. Rob Amon says Esparza versus Torres. Yeah, I like it. I think, yeah, potentially that's what we could go with. Let's get back on track. Before Andrade versus Torres, Ilir the Sledgehammer Latifi hit Vince St. Preux with a left hook in tight. So even though Latifi's in a southpaw stance, he got in close and he was squared shoulders, and it was a left hook that hurt Vince St. Preux, rocked him. Ilir got Vince against the fence and went for a guillotine choke, standing guillotine, which is so funny because Ilir Latifi is like 5-0. Vince St. Preux is 6'3". Actually, I won't exaggerate. Ilir Latifi is 5'10". Vince St. Preux is 6'3", but Vince bent over a little bit. Latifi snagged that neck, snagged his head, and went for that guillotine. At first, we couldn't tell, but Vince tapped on the side where the referee was not, but then Vince went to sleep. Huge win for the Sledgehammer Latifi. People are probably going to compare it to Johnny Bones Jones because John Jones fought Vince St. Preux and couldn't get that finish. Ilir Latifi just needed 3 minutes and 48 seconds to finish OSP in the very first round. What is next for Latifi? I put out a poll on Twitter for what's next for the Sledgehammer. I put in the poll, oh, actually, first let's talk about, in the post-fight interview, Ilir Latifi called out the light heavyweight champion of the world, Daniel DC Cormier. He says, "I'll respect, brother, but I want to fight you. I will fight you either at light heavyweight or heavyweight, doesn't matter, but I want a title shot against you. I want to fight you." And then he went over to the cage and asked Daniel Cormier for a reaction, like, "You going to give me a shot or what?" And Cormier's like, "Man, it ain't my fucking decision. Besides, he said, I literally have bigger fish to fry. I have Stipe Miocic next." So, like, Sledgehammer, you're probably not getting a title shot. But because you're... Bozy Tozy says this reminded him of John Jones versus Machida. Both rocked their opponent and then snatched the fucking neck, boy. Kyle Frazzle Pocket says, I liked how he got the guillotine sunk in so well, and I like him being shorter, also made that choke tighter. Also, because Latifi's like fucking a little brick shithouse, fucking like as round as he is tall, yeah, that's a lot of muscle on your fucking neck. And then he's probably got like a bolt, like a little ball of muscle right here, right in the throat. That's got to be pretty vicious. Yeah, Latifi, awesome finish. Hamza Aman says Latifi versus Manoa next, maybe. In my poll, I said Volkan Oezdemir, perhaps. Glover the Rainbow Teixeira, perhaps. And Mauricio Shogun Rua. I put Daniel Cormier in there just because he had asked for it. But potential matchups, Oezdemir, Teixeira, Manoa, and Mauricio Shogun Rua. I actually like the idea of Latifi versus Mauricio. Part of the reason I like that is because Mauricio Shogun Rua, according to Mike Bond from MMAJunkie.com, has the longest winning streak in UFC's light heavyweight division at 3 fucking victories in a row. Wow. So I think the Sledgehammer could end that run for Mauricio. Sledgehammer will probably wake up on Monday being the number 5 ranked light heavyweight in the world. Potential matchups with Manoa, Teixeira, and Oezdemir. I like the idea of the Sledgehammer versus Oezdemir the best, and that's what I'm going to say. Dingo Dilligaf says Latifi versus Glover. I mean, all of those potentially are fine. Rob Amon says Latifi versus Shogun. I like it. I'm going to go with Oezdemir. I think that's a winnable fight for Oezdemir. We'll see where he's really at. We'll see if he can put the big power on Latifi. We'll see if Latifi can get Oezdemir down again. And because Daniel Cormier gives Latifi some of the best props he's ever given somebody, says that he's like one of the most powerful wrestlers he's ever trained with or like ever grappled with. And Oezdemir, you noticed after Daniel Cormier defeated him in their title fight at UFC 220, Oezdemir went straight to the back room, went straight to the locker room, and started working on what he should have done to defend against those takedowns against Daniel Cormier. He immediately got back to work. He immediately tried to gain the knowledge of what he should have done to negate the wrestling attack of Daniel Cormier. And Latifi, being such a great wrestler, could be somebody to give Oezdemir another chance, like a chance to redeem himself in the wrestling department, perhaps. I like that little narrative there. I like that both guys, hit hard. And I'm going to stick with Oezdemir versus Latifi. But any of those that we mentioned, Manoa, Teixeira, Rua, Oezdemir, they're all fine with me. Whatever's next for Latifi, we're all going to tune in and we're all going to like it. I have to give myself a what the fuck because I said I was only giving OSP versus Latifi a 2.5 out of 5 because Latifi's last fight against Tyson Pedro, he just implemented a wrestle heavy attack. He didn't look to pass. He didn't look for finishes and stuff. But this one, that was really impressive. Richard Berghuse wants to know when Julian Marquez is fighting next. I will try to find that. Let me see if he's even top. Is he top 50? He's not top 50. So, that's nuts. I don't know, man. I don't know when he's fighting next. Synchronic 7, DC was murking him on the feet. Oezdemir was in way over his head. Perhaps. But we already talked about Max Griffin versus Mike Perry. We didn't really talk about the specifics and the techniques used, which I apologize about. Basically, Griffin was doing a really good job fighting on his back foot, using Mike Perry's pressure against him, and tuning up Mike Perry. Griffin dropped Perry. He's got a 10-8 round in the second round. Julian Marquez is exciting as fuck. Sorry, I don't know when he's fighting next. I could do some harder Googling. Site:UFC.com, Julian Marquez. Synchronic 7 says Julian Marquez tweeted today about wanting to fight soon. So he does not have a fight lined up yet. On December 16th is when he defeated Darren Stewart, the dentist, via submission in round number 2 in a really fucking exciting fight. Before we talk about the rest of these fights, I don't know how long we've been kicking it. I like to do this show for like 45 minutes. We've been going for a while. I like this, guys. We've been doing some good work on this show. I should comment on Platinum's cornering. EP, we used Mike Perry's cornering advice as our what the fuck of the card. Break his fucking leg. What the fuck? And why are you having your girlfriend be your corner man? Anywho, let's give out our performance bonuses and fight of the night bonuses. Let me pull up your guys' predictions. Let me pull this up. Okay. Matthew Caldwell said the main event was going to get fight of the night, and given surname was going to give fight of the night to Perry versus Griffin. Chad Cheesemo says fight of the night was going to go to Stevens versus Emmett, and Caldwell was going to give performance bonuses to Perry and Stevens. Given surname was going to give performance of the night to Josh Emmett, and Richard Berghughes I don't think you gave him. Yeah, OSP versus Blachowicz. Yeah, I like that. Anyway, so what is your guys' post-fight fight of the night performance bonuses? I think that we have to give a performance bonus to Ilir Latifi for that left hook, then guillotine choke of Ovince St. Preux. That was fucking incredible. What the hell? Extra 50K goes to Ilir the Sledgehammer Latifi. Jeremy Stevens, he got a knockout victory in the main event of a Fox card. It was savage. It was vicious. All, you know, controversy aside, I think Jeremy Stevens gets an extra $50,000. I don't think Brian Boom Kelleher is going to get one because performance bonus is actually, you know, it's just to hide the fact they're giving finish bonuses. Brian Kelleher did not get a finish. He's probably not going to get a performance bonus. Stevens Latifi performance bonuses. I agree with Bozy Tozy and Hamza Aman. That's what I'm going with. I always give a third one. I'm going to give an extra $50,000 to... Oh, man. This is tough. I'm going to give out 4 performance bonuses. I'm going with the main event, Jeremy Stevens, Ilir Latifi, Alan Jouban for knocking out and folding Ben Saunders. And then Sam Alvey with that right hand knocking out and then walking off over Marcin Prachnio. So those are my 4 performance bonuses. I give an extra one. I'm going to give the extra one to Marion Renault for her triangle choke victory over Sarah McMahon. Let's check the Twitter machine and see what the real bonuses or what the official bonuses were. 1 second, guys, as I try to find them. Does he get to keep the bonus if it's overturned? I believe so. Sheldon lost. Synchronic 7. We'll run through some results here in a second. Okay, this is what you guys thought would happen. Fight of the night was given to Saunders versus Jouban. Performances of the night go to Ilir Latifi versus Jeremy Lil Heathen Stevens. I tweeted during this card that I would give the fight of the night to Max Griffin over Mike Perry over Saunders versus Jouban because a little bit like Saunders versus Jouban seemed to me like it didn't. There were moments when like Saunders was getting the better of Jouban a little bit, okay, but it felt like to me that Jouban had full control of that fight the entire time. And it resulted in a finish. There were some ebbs, there were some flows, but I thought that Perry versus Max Griffin had more ebbs, more flows. Plus, I'm being a little bit biased because I really like watching Mike Perry fight. So I was more invested in that fight than I was for Saunders versus Jouban. So I would go with that over it. But anyway, those are the official results for fight of the night was Saunders versus Jouban, and performance of the night was Ilir Latifi versus Jeremy Stevens. And I personally gave out 5 performance bonuses to Stevens for his knockout, Latifi for his submission, Marion Renault for her triangle choke, Jouban for his knockout, and Sam Alvey for his knockout. Yeah, after a minute or two, it was all Allen. I agree, Synchronic 7. So I thought that Perry versus Griffin was better. I wasn't going to defend myself on Twitter. I just don't really care. One thing I don't do, I'm a very active person on social media. I don't get in arguments. I really try not to get in arguments because it's just not fun for me. I don't, like, most arguments, I have my opinion, you have your opinion. You're probably not going to convince me that my opinion is wrong. If you have facts and I like state that something that I think is true and it's not true, and you tell me a fact, I'll be like, okay, I was wrong. You told me a fact. I get it. I was wrong, you know, on the facts. But if it's opinion, you know, I don't fucking we can both have our opinions. I don't need to argue about it with you. So, Bozy Tozy says it was more than 2 minutes, but he gets the objection. Yeah, my heart was just more invested in the welterweight fight. Of course, Joban versus Saunders was exciting, and did it in the finish, a dramatic finish. So I get it. Synchronic 7. If it was a millionaire, give all UFC fighters a little bonus, maybe one day. Yeah. Rob Amon says Sarah McMahon should fight a newcomer in a loser leaves town fight. Marion Renault versus Sarah McMahon. In the first round, McMahon got Renault down. She passed him to the crucifix mount, a la Daniel Cormier versus Oezdemir, Volkan Oezdemir. But Marion Renault was able to buck and get her arm back and out of the crucifix mount like 5 to 6 times. And if McMahon could have just cinched her down harder and rained down that little bit of ground and pound, she probably could have got a finish. And the 2 out of the 3, or maybe all 3 judges gave the first round 10-8 to Sarah McMahon over Renault. And then second round came out. Marion's corner said, look for that right hand. It's going to be there against Sarah McMahon. And by golly, she was right. Overhand right, flush in the face of Sarah McMahon, rocked her, dropped her. McMahon goes for her wrestling. Renault was originally, she sprawled out really, really well. McMahon got in on the single. She was able to get the takedown. But like I said in the pre-fight, Renault has really good submissions off of her back. And she threw up a triangle choke off of her back. McMahon was able to defend a little bit because her muscles are fucking huge. She got some giant biceps. She was able to defend the triangle choke by basically not letting Renault. So she had her arm on this side of her neck. She was like holding it here, and then Renault needed to move it over here to help her like use her own arm to choke her. She was unable to like move that because of how big McMahon's arms were. But once she was able to get like the triangle really cinched up, pull the head down, kind of tilt that sumbitch, she was able to get the tap from Sarah McMahon, and that was a big comeback victory for Marion Renault. Synchronic 7, I told a friend to bet on that fight. He did, and he won. Oh, on Max Griffin and Latifi. What up, Nicholas E? Thanks for coming back, dude. I sorry I didn't get back to your comments the other day on my top 3 fights to watch at UFC on Fox 28, or was it my beer pairing, where you said that, granted, Jeremy Stevens like got back at Conor McGregor by saying your mom knows who the fuck, and he took a picture with his mom. Sorry for not getting back to you, Nicholas. I did read it. Meant to get back to you, but I was at my day job at the time, so I couldn't get back. Let's run through some more results. Brian Boom Kelleher defeated Henan Barrow 30-27, 30-27, 29-28. He was hitting Barrow with the bigger shots, moving forward. Had good defense. He went for some takedowns. Barrow defended, but basically Brian Kelleher was getting a right hand on Barrow's face a lot. And toward the end of the 3rd round, they really blasted each other. And it was a fun fight. Before that, Angela Hill defeated Marina Moroz. Rob Amon says that Moroz versus Joanne Calderwood in a loser leaves town fight. Not happening because Moroz already defeated Joanne Calderwood, and why would Moroz take that fight again? Angela Hill versus Randa Marcos. I like it. I like it. Before that, of course, Alan Jouban defeated Ben Saunders. Ben Saunders, he's very wooden. Alan Jouban chopped him down with low kicks. Ben Saunders' leg was like bleeding. He wasn't checking the low kicks. When he would check them, basically Jouban was able to sweep him, like knock him down for a second. Ben Saunders was like he always does. He reaches out for the plum clinch a lot, and he doesn't defend his face. So he would reach out for the plum clinch, and Jouban would come over the top with hooks. Was really hurting Ben Saunders. He hurt him a couple of times, and Ben Saunders was wobbly on his legs. And then Jouban hit him with, I think it was a right hand. Was it a right hand? I got it. I'll look at my Instagram. It was a left hand. Left hand over the top. Boom. Sent him careening to the canvas. Yeah. Oh, fucking yeah. Strong left hand. And then folded him on his own knee. And Killaby was out cold. He was out cold for a little while, folded up under his own knee. Gosh, that would hurt your fucking knee. Might tear your meniscus. Before that, Smiling Sam Alvey knocked out Marcin Prachnio. We talked about that fight already. A bantamweight fight, Ronnie Yahya defeated Russell Doan via arm triangle choke. Russell Doan had nothing for the takedowns of Yahya. Yahya got him down, fucking flowed on him, did whatever he wanted to him, basically. Before that, Alex Perez defeated Eric Shelton, unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board. Perez was hitting Shelton with the harder strikes, took Shelton down at will, basically. Shelton did not have like much answer for what Alex Perez was doing to him. First fight of the night, Manny Bermudez versus Albert the Warrior Morales. Morales was winning on the feet. He seemed to have rocked Bermudez a couple of times on the feet early on. Not really rocked, but you could tell he got to him. But Bermudez was flowing like fucking water all over Albert Morales. And he was able to get the guillotine choke over Morales. And I think, let's see, Morales is on a 3-fight losing streak. He only has 1 win in the UFC. He's 1-4-1 in his UFC career. I think that he's cut. We got to cut him. We got to cut Albert Morales. Manny Bermudez, he doesn't even have a fucking Wikipedia page, but he's undefeated in his entire mixed martial arts career. I think he's only been fighting pro for like a year or 2 or something like that. Not long. But like his ground game was pretty fucking fun to watch. And I'm excited to see him next. We're not even going to talk about what's next for him. Potentially, whose next opponent is. I'm going to be excited to watch him next if I can really remember his name. Saunders versus Wallhead in the loser leaves town fight. Yeah, fuck it. I don't know. It hardly seems like. I like Ben Saunders. He's got a cool logo. He's got them sweet, like, mutton chop kind of beard type of thing. Fun guy to watch fight, I think. He's got that cool rubber guard, mission control from. Rob Amon does love cutting fighters, Synchronic 7. It's his favorite thing to do. Yeah, anyway, I'm excited to watch Bermudez fight next. So, that's the entire show, guys. I appreciate you for being here. If you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up. You can subscribe to the MMA Mania iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, anywhere you can find podcasts. You can find the MMA Mania podcast feed. There's also a podcast called the MMA Outsiders. I'll be back next week with my top 3 fights to watch at UFC Deuce 222, Cyborg versus Kunitskaya, and of course my beer pairing suggestion for that fight card. I haven't done that yet. I'll have to go to the liquor store tomorrow to figure out what beer I want to pair with this event, where in the main event, Cyborg fights Kunitskaya, co-main event, Frankie Edgar versus Brian T-City Ortega, Sean O'Malley fights Andre Sukumtat, Stefan the Skyscraper Struve versus Andre Pitbull Arlovsky, Kat Zingano, who's been showing a lot of skin lately on Instagram. You might want to go over there if you're into that sort of thing, versus Ketlin Vieira. A lot of fun things. Anyway, once again, guys, thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back. I wanted to start doing some live chats during the middle of the week sometime soon. I don't know if that will be this week or not. Getting married soon, so thank you for the effort and passion, Richard Berghughes. I appreciate you. I appreciate Synchronic. I appreciate Bozy Tozy. I appreciate Rob Amon. Hamza Aman, I appreciate you as well. I might do live commentary for the Cyborg Kunitskaya card, Hamza. I have to ask the bosses. I will message them tomorrow to see if that's something that they want. Anyway, guys, thanks again for being here. I appreciate you guys. Got a lot of love for you. It is only 10:30 my time. A lot of time to enjoy the rest of your Saturday night if you're, in North America or whatever. Anyway, thanks again, guys. I'll see you next week. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste, and drink this beer. Cheers, guys. Peace out. Oh, Chad Cheesemo. Forgot to give him a shout out. Thanks, Chad Cheesemo. Nicholas E. Shout out to you as well. Synchronic 7. It's 4:30 UK time. Go to sleep, my dude. Go to sleep, my brother. Peace out, dudes. Follow me on Twitter. I'll send me a DM. I'll talk to you anytime. Later, guys.